way into the 2023 FIBA Basketball World Cup. Gilas Pilipinas has been drawn with New Zealand, Korea, and India in the World Cup qualifiers. Now, to get their reaction and check how much Gilas Pilipinas is looking forward to the qualifiers, we have Gilas Pilipinas captain Isaac Sir George Go and Coach Sandy Arespacochaga. Coach Isaac, welcome to the game.
Coach Sandy, walang nickname?
No, wala pa eh. He's a dance captain of the Gilas Army. If you know what I'm talking about. Oh, yan eh.
Speaking of,
Yes, okay.
let's talk about their opponents.
Yes, true. Okay. Because that's a great segue kasi South Korea muna yung pag-uusapan natin dito. Alright, so Coach Sandy, when we talked before about Gilas Pilipinas and your role in it, it's always been scouting. It's always been looking at these opponents and trying to figure out what makes them tick. But Coach, you're now facing a South Korea team that really wants to get one back at us. And you may be looking at a different South Korea team moving forward. How are you approaching this one, Coach Sandy?
Of course, we're all aware that the goal is 2023 and we have to get ready and be prepared. As much as possible, we want the best competition, a very good challenge for our team to get us ready for 2023. But at the same time, of course, we also want to be able to win our games against our opponents. So it's still the same focus for the coaching staff and for the players. We're excited, of course, that we're gonna play Korea again, our rivals, and they're a very good team, and we expect that they're really going to prepare well and have vengeance as the talagang paghahanda nila tayo for sure. And we welcome that and we appreciate that, because that will help us become better.
Isaac, we'll stick with South Korea real quick. They want to get back at us. You want to get another one. And as coaches will always say, every game takes on a different personality. How different will that next challenge be if you face them once? Well, you will face them again. And how difficult will it be? And what kind of challenges does a kind of like a vengeance game, a revenge game present from a player standpoint?
I think when you have a vengeance game, there's a little bit more drive to prepare a little bit better, to be a little bit more focused. And assuming the travel restrictions are lifted, we may be playing at their home instead. So it's going to take a different feel. They're going to be the home crowd favorites. They're going to have the home field advantage. So it could take on a different feel because here in Manila we had the home court advantage per se. With the environment, but who knows with everything that's going on right now, we may be playing Korea and we may be playing against in a full packed arena of Koreans.
That is very true. Considering the changes that could happen due to the pandemic, you could be facing not just the Korean national team, but then the Korean fans there as well. But moving on, we're also going to face a team that you are not necessarily familiar with in India. Coach Sandy, this India team, Coach Tab Baldwin said that they're a big team. They're a team with a lot of size and a lot of talent, but then not a lot of international experience. And I found that interesting because this Gilas team is also trying to gain international experience as well. How do you think we match up to them in terms of that?
Well, like what you mentioned, they're relatively new in the sense that even the basketball in India is just gaining popularity now. So they have the advantage of a very big population to choose from. So if you look at their team, they're actually very tall. They have a lot of tall players, and these tall players, they have three very good big guys. Sing yung apelyido nila. Amritaj Singh's their leading scorer, and then you have Satnam Singh, and then there's even the teammate of Kai Soto. Maybe some of you guys have heard. Ignite Principal Singh. So
Singh, yeah.
And it's gonna be very interesting, especially. I think that they're eager to make a name internationally. So what better way to do that by getting a couple of wins against the opponents, New Zealand, Korea, or us, diba? So it's gonna be very interesting and very exciting also.
Well, I bet they want to get a win, especially over us. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Coach and Isaac, they're the only team in this group that is ranked below us.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, they're 78th in the world. Isaac, what kind of challenges for you? Because even Coach Charles last night, Coach Charles Chu said that obviously height is going to be the factor that is going for them. So the big guys are going to be challenged in that department, Isaac.
Yeah, and Isaac's big.
Exactly.
What Coach Sandy said, they have three really good big guys. But I think another thing that we're going to face again is a challenge that we're going to face is that we're not sure how they play or what's their style.
Unknowns, yeah.
So maybe like the Korea game where there's a lot of unfamiliarity again going towards the game. How are they going to play? Who are they going to use? How are they going to use these players? I think it's just going to be exciting to see what they throw at us. And I think it will just show that we have to stick to our principles and stick to the game.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, especially. But I think it will also test how you guys adjust on the fly against a bit of an unknown opponent. But then speaking about someone that's very familiar with the opponent, Coach Tab, I was with him yesterday, and he said that he really wanted to play Australia because of his Kiwi connections. But then playing New Zealand is not a bad thing as well. The history there is that Gilas lost to New Zealand in 2016 OQT by 9 points, and they have the size, they have the talent. Isaac, you're again another big team that will test you in particular a lot because of the size that you have to deal with. How much are you looking forward to playing a team like that?
I'm very much excited because as a player, you want to go up against the best. And New Zealand is probably top 3, top 4 ranked in Asia Oceania right now. So having that team that you've seen on TV, I managed to catch them when they came here for the OQT and saw how they play. It's something that I'm really excited to go up against, something that I've only seen and now I'll be going up against them. So it's really exciting.
Coach, I'm interested, and I know New Zealand is probably the toughest hurdle, obviously, in this group. And we're going to be talking in the next few months about the challenges presented by New Zealand. But speaking of challenges, can I just get an insight of what are the challenges of our team moving forward in terms of maybe scheduling? How often are you going to be looking to play? Is it going to be every month? Also the challenge of getting players together now that maybe some leagues are going to start opening up next year. Can we get your thoughts on that as a part of the coaching staff?
I think the biggest challenge for our team is coming up with the lineup for the windows. And also, like I mentioned earlier, it's a balance. We want to win now, but we want to get ready for 2023.
Right.
So it's who's gonna make the roster for the first game, and will these players be? Will they make it to the final lineup for 2023? That's the biggest question that that needs to be answered by our players,
right.
By the situation that we have, by the different stakeholders, and building our system, our program headed towards 2023. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
And actually, we don't have. It's not just us who has this problem. Like if you look at New Zealand, their best lineup, they didn't even play. The best players didn't even play the last the last FIBA qualification games that they had because of the pandemic situation. So will they field in the same team or will they be able to field in their best team? Korea, their pro league is going to start. So will they send their best players from the pro league? We also don't know. So it's gonna be very interesting for all of the teams, coming up with a roster. But the most important thing is for us, like you mentioned, we're looking at our team first and foremost, and we're looking at the development of our players individually and our system. That's the most important thing that is on the list for our coaches.
It feels like a very long tryout period for all of the players. It feels like a lot of tune-ups going into what is potentially the biggest dance that we're going to have in a
Exciting
very
yun,
long
no?
time. Oh,
Exciting to watch out for that too.
And all of the movement, especially with the rosters and trying to figure out how we can play the best way in the world stage. Guys, thank you very much for joining us, but we're not done with you yet because after the break, we'll talk college basketball as we break down the must-watch Gilas Pilipinas standouts in the UAAP. Stay tuned. You're watching the game.
Welcome back. You're still watching the game. I'm pretty sure all of us miss college basketball so much. Don't worry, UAP fans, because the Varsity Channel is coming our way. Mark your calendars for September 8 on Signal TV and Signal Play. Together, let's all watch some throwback UAAP games beginning the year 2000. And speaking of college basketball, let's welcome back nine-time UAP champion Coach Sandy Arespacochaga, and three-time UAP champion Isaac Go to talk about players. Paolo cannot wait to get to this segment. To talk about some players who have developed in the Gilas program and how you will see them develop or evolve or stand out in the UAP. And obviously, let's stay first close to home. Let's start with the Ateneo side. Coach Sandy and Isaac, your thoughts on guys like obviously Dwight Ramos, SJ, Ange, and even like guys like Dave, Ildefonso, and how do you see them going into the UAP?
Coach Sandy, let's start with you. I'll fight George later.
Okay. Sorry, I have to reboot a little bit because medyo Gilas yung focus.
No, I understand that.
And, I think talking about the Ateneo players, I think that it's weird kasi we're not even going to run the same thing sa Ateneo sa Gilas.
Yeah.
But quiet pala.
But
No, tell us everything.
No, but Coach, what we're asking basically is, you've seen them evolve individually in the Gilas program. So.
Yeah, individually, and I think you project these players and you're hoping that they reach. They have a high ceiling kasi, very high ceiling, and then we hope that they keep on trying to elevate their game so that their ceiling becomes higher. And I think that's the goal for all of our young players in the Gilas program. And the experience that they gain is very valuable.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that it's gonna be exciting. I think because it's weird. You still have to be able to mesh well with your teammates.
Yeah.
So even if these Ateneo players have been konti sila, but they still have to integrate themselves with a bigger pool of players. So it's also going to be interesting how the chemistry, how they fix that chemistry.
Kita ko yung struggle ni Coach Sandy
Yeah.
na umalis sa zone ng Gilas into the UAP.
Can I just say
Sorry,
though?
Okay,
It's been Gilas for me for how many months? So
Of course,
I'm
I
really focused with
understand.
Gilas. Yeah. Nakalimutan ko nga for a little bit na, assistant coach pala ako sa Ateneo.
Well, you know what? I'm just happy that George is no longer playing for Ateneo. He's hurt me way too many times. And every time he's hurt me, for some reason, I see him the next week. George, first of all, this team that you have here in terms of your Gilas teammates who are going to feature for Ateneo, especially Dwight, SJ, and Ange, do you feel that obviously a lot of people have a target on their back in particular? Like they're always out to get them. They're going to elevate the way they play once they hit the floor. Is that a different type of mentality you feel that they have to kind of adjust to going into the UAP?
I think that they don't have to change their mentality, but they have to acknowledge that they do have a target on their backs. A lot of these guys have been in the news, in the media, for being for performances, for news of their recruitment, their hype. So a lot of them now have been more, as in since they're out there, mas scouted na yun sila eh. So people now can see them play, see how they use their skills. So they have to acknowledge that they're out there, that everyone's going to be gunning for them because every other player sitting at home thinks that I should be in Gilas. Why am I not in Gilas?
Yeah.
If I can, let's say, outplay Dwight or outplay SJ, then it shows that I'm better than them and I deserve a slot. So these guys have to acknowledge that there's a target to their back, but at the same time have to keep that composure, knowing that okay, I can't just ride the momentum or the news or the hype that I have.
Nice.
I have to put the work which these guys do.
George, I'll stay with you because I have to ask you about opponents too of your school, even if you're not going to be playing anymore. Let's say UP, new coach, some new players, some very interesting and standout recruits, of course, in Abadiano, Fortea, CJ Cancino, of course, playing now for UP, and then Coach Goldwyn Monteverde. What are your thoughts on this iteration of the UP Fighting Maroons?
It's going to be really fun. I played against Coach Gold in high school where if you compare his teams then and this teams now, the level that he has so much more talent to work with now compared to before. And yet, he's had so much success over time. So now, it's going to be interesting to see now he has all these prize recruits, all these college players now. Yeah. How is he going to make them gel? How is he going to make them work? Coach Gold has been one of the more decorated high school coaches in UAP history. So to finally see him make that jump, it's going to be interesting to see.
Coach Sandy, I think you gave Carl Tamayo too many weapons now because I feel like he has developed as a player and doing things that he probably wasn't doing prior to joining the Gilas program. How do you see him featuring sa UAP?
I have to give credit also to Coach Goldwyn because we already saw the kind of versatility that Carl Tamayo showed in the Gilas games. But you know, when you watch NU, you could already see that the potential's there. So Coach Goldwyn already developed him to be an inside-out player, not just a big man, diba? Not just a traditional big man. And so I think a lot of people are excited with Carl, like what George said, because like SJ, you've already seen SJ, Ange, diba? But si Carl, nakita ng marami for the first time. But you know, not just Carl actually, because Carl's teammates from the NU team were also mainstays sa youth team natin. That's Jerry Abadiano, Terence Fortea. Yep. So that's gonna be exciting. And then we also mentioned one of their teammates, Kem Kiambao, who also was able to represent our country's youth level. Yeah. And he's with LaSalle, di ba? So, and actually, Kevin, nasa target din actually natin yan eh. Na in-invite natin siya actually last time, di lang siya nakapunta for the Gilas school. So that's also going to be exciting. In fact, a lot of teams, a lot of schools is gonna be exciting kasi we hear about these recruits but we haven't seen them eh.
Yeah.
I think that's more exciting pa nga. That makes UAAP more exciting eh.
Yeah. And that's why we need you back for another
The
episode
sooner,
to talk about
the better.
other schools.
Oh, I mean, like, thank you for mentioning LaSalle, Coach. You know I'm pulling for them harder than anyone else here. But thank you very much for joining us, the both of you. We can't wait to see the UAP back. We can't wait for UAP Varsity Channel to come out and watch all of the throwback games. Hopefully, none of them involving George hurting LaSalle. But yes, thank you very much for joining us here.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
All right, and when we return, we'll go inside the game of undefeated one Atomweight contender Denice Zamboanga as she looks to make history in the upcoming One Empower card. Stay tuned. You're watching The Game.
Welcome back to The Game. I'm Paolo De Rosario. One Championship is set to make history with its first ever all-female card in the upcoming One Empower. And number one women's atomweight contender Denice Zamboanga is ready to make her mark. Our correspondent Carlo Pamintuan caught up with the undefeated Pinay ahead of her matchup with Korean vet So Hee Ham in this latest edition of Inside the Game.
We are now with one championship atomweight contender, Denice Zamboanga. Denice, thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, thank you po. Thank you for having me also.
Denice, I believe that you're currently in a hospital just to make sure na yung mga testing before the fight will all be okay. Tama ba?
Yes po, we need to have a negative result before our flight.
So Denice, can you just explain to us ano yung naging decision making nyo before you finally said na gusto nyong pumunta sa Thailand, gusto nyong doon na mag-train?
During that time, I was still employed on the NGO, non-government. So I've decided if I'm go through MMA to my MMA career or should I focus on my work. That's the thing. I think it's 2019 since I've decided to move here in Thailand to train and focus on my career. So, ayun, sa akin mahirap na decision kasi kailangan ko mag-resign sa work ko tapos kung if pupursue ko ba talaga yung MMA.
Pero yun yung pinakamalaking, di ba? Yun yung pinakamalaking sign sa'yo na seryoso ka talaga sa MMA career mo.
Opo. Yun yung sabi ko. Kung will ba talaga ni God na tas kung susuportahan ba ako ng parents ko, inas ko rin sila ano yung gusto kung ano yung magiging decision nila. Sabi nila sa akin, kung saan daw ako masaya. So ayun, I've decided to move here to pursue this career.
Alright, Denice, you're already supposed to be the top challenger dun sa women's atomweight division. Number one contender ka na against Angela Lee. Were you surprised na napasali ka dito sa One Women's Atomweight Grand Prix or nasabi ba sa'yo kung ano yung plano talaga? Because I'm sure you were already gearing for a world championship opportunity and now you have to go through a series of matches bago ka makalaban for the title.
Ayun, nung nalaman ko yun, yung before na sasali nga, na magkakaroon nga ng Grand Prix because din sa nangyari. Sa akin parang nung una hindi ko pa siya masyado matanggap kasi syempre 'di ba parang nag-expect na yung mga tao na lalaban ako ng title match tapos biglang na-delay magkakaroon ng Grand Prix so parang mas maraming challenge muna bago ka makapunta dun sa so feeling ko ito yung way ni Lord para talaga ma-improve pa talaga yung skill ko.
So yung makakalaban mo, very experienced athlete in Korea, So Hee Ham. Ano yung masasabi mo tungkol sa kanya? Nag-umpisa na ba kayong mag-scout? How are you preparing to match up with her?
Ako, nung nalaman ko na nag-sign siya ng One Championship, sabi ko parang meron ng parang pinakamagaling sa isa sa mga pinakamagaling na fighter ng Atomweight. Sabi ko, hindi ko ma-explain kung ano yung ano ko na parang medyo kinabahan ako na parang medyo excited. Tapos, nung nalaman ko na may Grand Prix, tapos siya pa yung una kong makakalaban. Sabi ko, lang galing. Ako kagad, ganun. Sa akin, kasi sobrang galing niya, ganyan. Sobrang top, like world, high-level striker siya. Sa akin, malaking challenge to. Itong darating na laban natin.
Denise, One Empower, it will be the first time the promotion will feature an all-women fight card.
Yes.
Napakalaking bagay no, for women's MMA. But syempre, for you specifically, napakalaking bagay for Filipina MMA
Yes.
fighters. How do you take this responsibility? Kasi ikaw yung magre-represent sa buong Pilipinas and ikaw yung may possibility na may stage to be able to inspire a lot of younger Filipina, athletes to pursue their careers.
Sa akin, sobrang laking tulong and sobrang laking motivation na ako yung magre-represent sa bansa natin, which is Philippines. Sobrang laking tulong siya sa akin kasi iba yung hindi siya as pressure sa akin as siya motivation na ako yung magre-represent ng Philippines dun sa one of the best like event. Like, gagawa ng history yung One Championship. Ako yung kasali doon. So, para sa akin, gagalingan ko talaga para mas marami pang ma-inspired na female or inspiring female athletes.
Sa tingin mo, ano yung mga possibility na mangyari in your matchup?
Sa akin, sa tingin ko po, sobrang hindi siya madaling laban. Kasi, paano ba? Pareho kaming matagal nang hindi lumalaban, tapos pareho kaming gutom sa laban, like that. So, feeling ko hindi siya madaling laban para sa aming dalawa. Madugo siguro.
Alright, Denise, again, we thank you for joining us here. And we hope that you stay safe and stay healthy, and we cannot wait for your matchup.
Yes, thank you po. Thank you for having me.
And you can catch the first ever all-female One Championship event, One Empower, live on One Sports and One Sports Plus this Friday, September 3, 7:30 p.m. Manila time. So exciting. Thank you for joining us. My name is Boom Gonzalez.
And I'm Balo de Rosario. This has been The Game.